Yes, sir.
I have a concern, I guess, is regarding shopping, and you mentioned the word parking lots. That's a big deal when you in the parking lot. I noticed when I put the car in reverse, obviously the backup lights go on. People walk right behind you.
Yes.
Or cars speed up so they can beat you.
I want to tell you something. If I can tell you something based on what he's saying, this is very important. Parking lots are not governed the way, that's private property. They're not governed like the road. We'll come out and we'll do an accident report, or we'll ask you to come in and we'll do an accident report depending on what the status is. But it's just a report. It's not the same. The laws, it's kind of like when you go into a parking lot, you see stop signs, right? Those aren't stop signs like on a roadway. They don't have the same govern, you know. So whoever put it there might have been the company, the retail operation, might be somebody they contracted to establish where they should put those signs, but they're just there for convenience because they know they got heavy traffic, pedestrian flow, so they put a little stop sign there. We're not going to come in and ticket anybody who ran that stop sign. Do you understand that? Because that is not the roadway, okay? The roadway in Illinois goes from sidewalk to sidewalk. That's something people don't realize either. So if there is a sidewalk running along a road within like 20 feet, whatever, 30 feet, 40 feet, I guess it could be a little further out depending on the type of roadway. But the Illinois law says that Department of Transportation has established that it's from sidewalk to sidewalk. That's so if a car left the roadway and hit a pedestrian or someone on the sidewalk, that would be considered a roadway law that the police could enforce using the Illinois, using the IVC, Illinois Vehicle Code. Okay? Outside of that, you get into private property, there's fewer criminal actions that we can cite for the IVC, the Illinois Vehicle Code, off of the roadway. So like let's say an accident occurs in your driveway, beyond the sidewalk, beyond your approach, beyond the sidewalk. It's probably going to be one of those little private property reports and not a roadway accident report, an in-depth report. Now, there are exceptions. There's always exceptions, okay? So, obviously, criminal exceptions like reckless conduct and things like that are enforceable off the roadway. Driving a vehicle, that's an IVC violation, and it's also enforceable off the roadway. So there are some that would change that, okay? Or if a vehicle left the roadway, not just kind of like bumped into your car because he meant to be in the driveway, he left the roadway and came into your house or your lot, that would be there'd be an accident report done on that too, because that's a continuation of the action that was taking place on the roadway. Yes.
Yes. And the sidewalk is on state property.
Sidewalks are well,
So it's
right.
property.
Sidewalk.
Sidewalk is considered state
Yeah,
property.
right. That's part of the roadway easement, if you want
Unless
to
you
call
want to
it.
get them repaired, then they're not state property.
Then you're on your own. Well, and I don't think I should get into that because we're on tape. And I just Al just pointed to that and reminded me, because I had to redo my driveway once, and I went through that too, about the difference in cost. Yes?
What about unlicensed drivers? I was hit in the dual parking lot by an unlicensed driver
Yes.
They told me they couldn't do anything about that because it's on private property. But by the same token, they had him drive across the street over to the police station to pick up a copy of the report and watched him drive off.
Not in Villa Park. Let me get this on tape. No. I would, just recently?
In September. Yeah,
Well,
I
see,
did.
and that is, and now I'm going to point something out to you. That is, in an instance where you have a question like that, because that is the first I've heard of that, okay? If that had been brought to my attention as a supervisor, then I'm going to sit down with the police officer and I'm going to ask some questions. And I'm also going to ask some questions of the people that were driving the vehicle and things like that. I'm going to get a hold of them. Because maybe, and let's get this on camera, maybe it was the twin brother who got in the car seat and drove the car. I know. But you know, who has a valid license. But you understand what I'm saying though? I mean, if, just in case somebody else got behind the wheel, slid behind the wheel, I'd want to be sure. We have to be sure. Now, if you can positively ID that person and they get behind the wheel and they drive from off private property and onto the public property, then after an accident report, they're committing a second violation of driving with no valid license. So that is a crime, and that can be ticketed. So good point. And I'm gonna, now that you brought that up, my shift is going to have a training session, whether it was my shift or not. Yeah, maybe I'll make them watch this video. Are you watching, guys? Okay. So.
And then drove, I mean, he went back to Midlothian driving, and
Wow.
no ticket, no nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know, because my grandson is a policeman in Phoenix.
So you called him.
My daughter
You know how I know you called him? Because my mother calls me, and my mother-in-law, and my father, and my father-in-law, and everybody, every police officer gets calls from their relatives. Is this right? Should this have happened? And then, you know, of course, you know, being a good police officer, we got to call that local police department and say, what's going on over there?